The idea: one night, one cave, one live stream seance, to summon the Bell Witch, America's oldest documented haunting, and maybe, just maybe, get Dead Air back in the top podcast charts again. Erin Delaney stared into the camera lens inside their rented van, forcing a confident smirk she didn't feel. Welcome, weirdos and skeptics. Tonight's the night we take you deep inside the real Bell Witch cave. And yes, we're going live all night. No edits, no cuts. Whatever happens, you'll see it. Her voice cracked slightly, and she quickly cleared her throat. Behind her, tech gear buzzed and flickered. Wires tangled across the van floor like roots pulled from the earth. Static hissed through the audio feed, always a problem with remote locations. Outside, the cave loomed 100 feet away, half swallowed by the Tennessee woods. Cold, wet earth. Crickets had gone silent hours ago. No birds, no wind, just dead air. Jackson, the show's sound guy and self-proclaimed skeptic in residence, checked the frequency meter for the third time. We're getting weird interference, EMFs off the charts. Either we've got faulty cables, or something's messing with the field. Of course, something's messing with it, said Mia, their spiritual medium. She wore too many silver rings and smelled of sage and clove cigarettes. This place is cursed. Has been since the 1800s. The Bell family opened a door that never closed. Erin rolled her eyes, but kept her voice even. Right. A door. Ghosts. Evil spirits. That's the hook. Yeah. But let's be real. People want proof. So let's go give them some. She stepped out into the darkness, her boots sinking slightly into damp soil. Lights mounted on their tripods cast long shadows toward the cave entrance. The carved wooden sign read, Bell Witch Cave, Private PR2 Wine Tour, at your own risk. They had signed waivers earlier. The owner, a hollow-eyed woman named Karen Hodge, had handed them out without a word, and watched as they signed, like a priest offering last rites. Has anyone ever? Erin began, unsure how to ask. Karen answered, before she finished. They go in, they come out different. Some don't come out at all. Then she turned and walked back into her house, locking the door behind her now. The crew stood at the mouth of the infamous cave, narrow, jagged, bleeding humidity. It smelled of mildew and something else, sour and coppery, like spoiled meat. Erin turned to the livestream camera, smiling tight. Okay, everyone, we're heading in. Leave your comments, and if you see anything weird, screenshot it. Use the hashtag #BellWitchLive. They descended. The tunnel yawned inward, low, and curved like a throat. Their headlamps flicked across the walls, damp limestone, old graffiti, and deeper carvings that looked ancient. Symbols, circles, runes. No one talked about these, Jackson muttered, pointing to a sigil scrawled in something black and shiny. Maybe they should've, Mia whispered. Deeper in, the cave widened. A natural chamber opened into a dome, its ceiling high and jagged. Water dripped steadily into a dark pool at the center. This is the heart of it, Mia said. Where they say the witch appeared in full form. Where Betsy Bell passed out cold. In 1819. Where voices came from the walls. Erin unfolded a small table and set the seance circle. Candles, an old spirit board, her EMF meter, and a rusted bell allegedly tied to the original Bell family. Jackson adjusted the feed and gave her a thumbs up. The livestream chat exploded with excitement. User 395, let's go. Witch Hunter, 22. Watch the water. They say she comes through reflections. Paranoir 78. Audio's weird. Anyone else here whispering already? Dead_air_mod. Timestamp stuff for highlights. Erin sat at the center of the circle, candlelight flickering across her face. All right, Bell Witch, if you're real, we're listening. Come speak through us. She pressed her fingers to the board. Silence. Then, a creak. A shifting sound behind the rocks. Jackson spun around. What was that? Probably a rat, Erin muttered, heart thudding. But the EMF spiked, the dial jittering into the red. The air went cold. So fast, their breath turned visible. A loud snap echoed from the cave wall. Then a whisper, low, rasping, unmistakable. You shouldn't have come. The spirit board jumped, literally lifted an inch, then slammed back down. Mia screamed. Jackson cursed and backed into a stalagmite. Erin stared into the darkness. Wide dash, I thought her voice trembled. Was that on tape? Jackson looked at the feed. His face went pale. The camera was still streaming, but the live chat had frozen, and the screen showed. Not them, not the cave. Not now. It showed Erin, sitting alone in pitch black, her skin pale, her eyes missing. Pale, her eyes missing. Jack's breath, hitting the camera buttons and refreshing the laptop feed like a man trying to unsee what he just saw. No, 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 no. This isn't playback. This is live. It's streaming from our camera, but that's not us. Erin shoved past him and stared at the monitor. The image still showed her, or a version of her, sitting motionless in total darkness. Her mouth hung slightly open, drool trailing down her chin, and her empty sockets stared straight ahead like twin black tunnels. Her voice broke. That's not possible. I'm right here. Mia screamed again and scrambled backward toward the cave wall. I told you. She's already inside. We've invited her in. The candles guttered violently, nearly going out. The air turned thick and warm like exhaled breath from something large and invisible crouched just beyond the flickering light. And then came the sound again, a faint whisper, but not through their ears. It vibrated in their skulls, skipping the senses altogether. Something ancient and cold was brushing up against the edge of their minds, nudging, pushing. Don't leave. Don't stop. We want them to see. Jackson snapped the laptop shut. Nope, we're done. This whole thing was a mistake, but the cave wouldn't let them go so easily. As Jackson turned toward the entrance, the narrow tunnel behind them was no longer visible. It had collapsed, or worse, melted into black stone. Only the sound of trickling water remained, echoing endlessly into the thick dark. Erin tried her radio. Base camp, come in. Can anyone hear us? Static. Then, a child's voice came through the speaker. Play with me. The line went dead. For a long minute, they didn't move. Then, Erin stood up slowly and pointed toward the pool in the center of the chamber. We're not getting out until we finish what we started. You want to keep summoning it? Jackson's voice cracked with panic. This is a hell loop, Erin. This is not content. This is bait. But Mia was already crawling toward the spirit board again, candlelight casting her face in grotesque shadows. Her eyes were glassy, lips mumbling silently. I saw her, she said. In the dark, behind Erin, her mouth moved, but the voice didn't match. Something's mimicking us, watching us from behind the skin. Erin turned to Jackson, her voice low and tight. This is what we came for. Proof. Even if it kills us. That's not proof, Erin. That's a death wish. But she was already back on camera. Hey, everyone, she said to the lens, her tone unnatural, too bright, too slow. We had a little glitch, but we're back, and we're going to keep the stream going. We won't stop until we reach. Her hand twitched. Her neck tilted slightly too far, almost mechanically. Jackson looked at Mia, who was staring with wide eyes. That's not her voice, Mia whispered. Meanwhile, in the livestream feed, thousands of viewers had returned after the glitch. The chat rolled by at lightning speed. Haunt feed 321, WTF. Did I just see? Her eyes were gone. Gooseflesh TV. Dude, this is legit cursed. That wasn't a camera error. Banshee Watcher, don't stop the stream. If you stop the stream, they win. Black Mirror, 88. Check the background. 1012 timestamp. Something crawled across the ceiling. Then something happened that no one could explain. Every viewer watching at the same moment heard a voice. whisper through their speakers. Each heard their own name. Each heard the phrase, "You're next." And then, one by one, across the country, across the world, viewers began to lose power. Screens went black, phones overheated, modems sparked. One teen in Ohio passed out cold, another in Oregon woke up with nosebleeds and fingernail scratches across her back. But the stream kept going, back inside the cave. Jackson and Mia tried one last time to open a way out, pushing, pounding on the walls. But the stone pulsed like living tissue. Every impact sounded wrong, like hitting something soft and alive beneath. Suddenly, the sound returned, not from outside them, but inside. "Bring her to us. Let her remember." And Erin screamed. She dropped to her knees in the circle, blood seeping from her ears. "I see her. I see her." The lights blew out. The screen went black. And the cave itself began to breathe. The silence was unbearable. The kind of silence that makes your eardrums feel like they're about to burst. Not from sound, but the absence of it. Jackson staggered backward from the circle, his eyes wild, sweat pouring from his forehead despite the cave's icy air. Every breath tasted like copper and decay. "Erin," he called. But the thing kneeling in the middle of the chalk circle wasn't Erin anymore. She turned toward him slowly, her movements like something learning how to use a human body. Her arms jerked, bent too far back at the elbows, her eyes wide, and unblinking. Her mouth smiled, not with joy, but like a marionette's, a twisted parody of a face. "I see her," the thing whispered. "She remembers." Mia clutched Jackson's arm and whispered, "We need to break the circle. We need to seal it back." But the candles wouldn't stay lit. Every time they flickered to life, a gust of breath, warm, wet, sour-smelling, snuffed them out. And then came the noises. Scratching, skittering, from the ceiling, from the walls, and then directly behind them. Mia spun around, nothing. But when she turned back, her face turned pale. She pointed wordlessly toward the far wall of the cave. Something was crawling out. No, several somethings. They were long-limbed, bent backward at the knees. Their faces looked human at first glance, but stretched like old wax dolls left out in the sun. Empty eyes, bloody grins, clawing at the stone like rats burrowing toward meat. One of them let out a hiss that vibrated through their bones. Jackson grabbed the camera instinctively. It was still rolling. He stared into the lens and whispered like a madman, "If you're watching this, don't look away. Keep your screen on. Keep watching." She said, "If we stop, we let her out." Behind him, Erin's voice, or the thing wearing her voice, started singing an old Appalachian lullaby. "Hush, little baby. Don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird." Each verse bent slightly more out of tune. Each word rattled like loose teeth. Then the monsters attacked. The feedback at Haunted Fear HQ was chaos. On screen, hundreds of thousands of viewers were still, locked in, mesmerized, terrified, unable to tear their eyes away. The chat slowed as more people began to report strange happenings. "Secret sleeper. My lights just flickered. This ain't a joke anymore. Echoing walls. Why does it feel like something's behind me when I full screen the video? Trail snails. Is that my room in the feed?" At exactly 3:33 a.m., the screen went white. Then a face appeared. Not Erin, not Mia, not Jackson. Just a face, pale, smiling, staring directly into the soul of every viewer. Its eyes shimmered like static. Its grin never moved, but each viewer saw their own name etched faintly in blood across its cheeks. Back in the cave, Jackson screamed as he swung the tripod like a weapon, smashing one of the crawling things in the jaw. It snapped backward, neck first, and skittered up the wall like a spider, blood raining from its open mouth. Mia knelt at the circle, drawing symbols in salt, whispering in Latin or something close to Latin. Her voice was shaking but rhythmic, the symbols burned into the stone. Erin, or the shell that had been Erin, began peeling her skin off, slowly, reverently, like removing a mask. Beneath it, the Bell Witch, not a ghost, not a woman, a thing that wore time like clothing. Her face shifted constantly, old, young, skeletal, bloated, burning, melting. Her eyes were black holes that blinked out stars. Her breath sucked the heat from the air. She looked at Jackson and Mia with infinite hunger. "You brought them here," she hissed. "And now I'll go to them." Mia looked up from her sigil. "Work," and screamed. "She's going to possess the feed." Jackson turned toward the laptop. The stream was still live, and something was crawling through the screen. A hand, gray, with curled black fingernails, pushed itself out of the monitor, warping the plastic as it emerged. Mia shouted, "Close it. End the feed." But Jackson hesitated. "If we close it, she gets out. She's trapped as long as people watch." They stared at each other in horror. They were damned if they did, damned if they did. Meanwhile, in living rooms across America, people watched with bated breath. Many couldn't look away. Some tried to stop the video, but their screens stayed on, no matter what. Others shut their laptops, only to find the image projected on their walls. A few tried to scream, but found they had no voice. The Bell Witch was crawling through the wires, through the screens, through the airwaves, and she was whispering to every single one, "I just need you to keep watching, just a little longer." To be continued. In part 4, she's in the feed now. She's in the feed now. The screen heartbeat. Every viewer, whether they'd tuned in from curiosity, thrill-seeking, or skepticism, was now locked in. Even those who had closed their laptops or powered off their phones. The image remained, burned into their devices like a virus that refused deletion, like a parasite that needed eyes. And the Bell Witch fed on eyes. In the cave. The air turned liquid thick, humid with something that wasn't moisture. It clung to Mia's lungs like spider silk. Jackson dropped the tripod as a new noise began to rise, the sound of screaming children. Not from the cave, from the stream. Somehow, the live broadcast was bleeding into itself, looping whispers and cries, and the chant of an old prayer. Not in English, not in Latin. It was older than both. Mia screamed, "We can't hold the circle. The camera is still broadcasting her. She's infecting the whole damn country. Unplug it." Jackson yelled. He dove for the laptop. But as his fingers touched the device, 1,000 tiny hands reached out from the keyboard and grabbed his wrists. Children's hands, bone-thin, ash-stained. They clung and sank their tiny nails into his skin. Jackson howled. Mia took the salt canister and poured it in a desperate arc over the laptop. The device sparked violently. Something inside it screeched. A howl that didn't come from the speakers, but from the soul of the machine itself. The laptop combusted, but it was too late. 8:19 a.m. EST. Norfolk, Virginia. Family of 4 is found staring at a blackened television, eyes wide open, pupils completely white. They are all breathing but unresponsive. The words, "Are you still watching?" are seared into the wall above them in claw marks. Les Ortri 41 Chicago. ILINO. IS police respond to noise complaints at an apartment where every device, TV, laptop, phone is playing the same video. The original stream from Haunted Fear. The officer, who enters the residence, begins screaming, within 60 seconds, clawing at his face. His body cam footage ends with a smile not belonging to him. Les 9 Los Angeles, California. Local news team covering the viral video glitch broadcasts something else entirely. Viewers watching Channel 9's morning show witness the same white-faced woman from the original stream whispering directly into the camera. Their ratings explode, so do their brains. In the cave, Jackson lay motionless, not dead, but frozen. His eyes rolled back, fingers twitching like he was typing invisible commands. Mia sat beside him, sobbing. Blood trickled from her nose, ears, and eyes. You said we'd just talk to her, she choked. But Erin, what remained of her was now nothing but a husk. Her skin sagged loosely, her jaw half unhinged. Her voice came out in two layers, one deep and ancient, the other still hers, pleading beneath. More eyes. I need more eyes. Let me in. Let me all the way in. Mia tried to grab Jackson's hand. You have to wake up. She's trying to broadcast. Through you now. You're her last transmitter. Jackson's mouth opened slowly, and a fly crawled out. Then another. His lips cracked open wider than they should have, tearing as a low, static hum spilled from his throat. And in the flickering candlelight, the cave wall began to shift. It rippled like a screen, like a projector, on the stone. The Bell Witch's face, massive, leering. She blinked slowly, her eyes each the size of a manhole, and she began to whisper, not in Latin, not in Appalachian. She was speaking directly into the brains of every American watching. And she said, You called me, you streamed me, you invited me, now let me show you your reward. Across the US, millions of viewers experienced the same exact vision. They were standing alone in a forest, not a real one, a forest made of static and bone. Trees screamed when the wind blew. The moon blinked like an eye, and behind them the Bell Witch. She was always behind them, no matter how fast they ran. She whispered something different to each. To the lonely, I'll fill the silence for you. To the guilty, I'll forgive you after I wear your skin. To the curious, you watched, didn't you? You asked for this. To the proud, say hello to your followers. They're already here. To the skeptics, keep denying. I love deniers. They taste the sweetest. And then they'd wake up. Different, some began cutting their eyelids off. Some carved the witch's sigil into walls, mirrors, bathroom stalls. Some disappeared entirely, leaving only phones playing a looped video that couldn't be paused or stopped. Back in the cave. ... Mia was whispering to herself, rocking back and forth as Erin's body dissolved into ash and maggots. The air was thick with rot. Jackson finally stirred. He turned to Mia with vacant eyes. She's gone, Mia sobbed. We broke the feed. We did it, didn't we? Jackson smiled. His teeth weren't his anymore. They were too sharp. She's just buffering, he whispered. You'll see. Then he lunged at her. They found Mia of the cave at sunrise. Her face was torn, lips bitten through, and her eyes were gone, carved out with her own fingers. Yet somehow, she was still whispering. She's in the light. She's in the screen. Don't look, don't look, don't. She was taken to St. Thomas Memorial in Nashville under heavy sedation. The doctors called it a trauma fugue. The nurses who worked the overnight shift called it something else. The streaming plague. July 2025. CDC Secure Briefing Atlanta. GEORGA by now. More than 3,000 unrelated individuals across the US had reported the same hallucinations, waking visions of a woman with a white face and stitched mouth, an overwhelming compulsion to speak in backwards tongues. Or most disturbingly, I need to spread the image through any means necessary. A Tennessee teenager drew her on the walls of her school in Sharpie, over and over, until her fingers bled. A cable installer in Detroit reportedly walked into traffic, repeating the phrase, I stream, therefore I am. The Bell Witch had gone digital. She didn't need haunted forests anymore. She had Wi-Fi. Back in the hospital Maya lay sedated. In her room, the TV had been removed, the bulbs unscrewed, her 4 machine disconnected. Nothing that could reflect light or transmit signal was allowed. But late that night, Nurse Lyle heard something, a whisper, not from Mia's mouth, but from the reflection in her saline drip bag. He bent closer, confused. Inside the plastic, suspended in the yellowing fluid, was a face, pale, hollow-eyed, lips stitched tight. She mouthed something. Lyle leaned closer. The bag shattered in his hands. Mia sat bolt upright, and screamed in a voice that was not hers. "Hello, streamer. Haunted fear. Channel back Owen Eleni." Despite every attempt by Mia's surviving team to delete the footage, it re-uploaded itself, even changed its own title. It was no longer called The Bell Witch Cave. Live now it read, The Witching Hour permanently. Streaming 10,671 viewers watching now, even when no one ran the channel. Even when the account was shut down, it kept broadcasting. The footage no longer showed the cave. It showed people's living rooms, bedrooms, hospitals, places where screens were left on overnight, where reflections lingered just a moment too long, and sometimes you could see her dot in the corner, standing still, smiling. White House press briefing, Washington, D.C. The president declared a temporary digital lockdown across several southern states. Social media was flooded with hashtags, #DoNotStream, #BellWitchVirus, #SheIsInMyTV, but it didn't matter, because she didn't need hashtags anymore. She didn't need users. She only needed one thing, a screen and a pair of eyes. Meanwhile, in the deep WEBA anonymous group called the Black Static Collective, claimed they traced the origin of the haunted stream back to a data center in Kentucky built above an unmarked mass grave. "We found the server," their post read. "It's in the sublevel, beneath the Bell Farm Memorial Library. Then, we're going down there tomorrow night." They streamed it live at exactly 3:33 a.m. The feed cut to a static-drenched room. No people, just a chair, and then, a woman in a white dress walked on camera, sat down slowly, and stared into the lens. She smiled, and removed her stitches. The scream that followed crashed 4 data nodes across 4 states. Every viewer saw their own face on the screen, with her standing behind them. Back at the hospital, Mia was missing. Her room was empty. No signs of a break-in. Only her bloodied hospital gown, soaked in salt water, on the mirror in red. She's in the cloud now. No more caves, just cables. Consumer Reports August 2002. 5 major tech companies issue a recall on smart TVs and digital mirrors after dozens of users vanished during live streams. In every case, the last still frame captured shows a grainy face, stitched mouth, a hand reaching out of the screen. In a dark room, SOMWHE Erin sits, eyes bandaged, muttering nonsense. She's recording, not with a camera, with her voice. She started a podcast called The Echo, which files streaming now on all major platforms, and every time someone listens, somewhere, a mirror fogs up, and you can almost hear her breathing, whispering, waiting, whispering, waiting. They called it the. By the end of August 2025, over 14,000 people across the U.S. had disappeared without a trace, most last seen near a screen, mirror, or reflective surface. Entire families, office workers, a pastor who live-streamed Sunday services from his church in MURFR, EESBORO. In every case, the final recordings shared one haunting detail, a faint white shape in the background, and a voice untraceable whispering, "Keep watching." The final episode, The Echo, which files podcast against all recommendations. I listened, not by accident. I downloaded the file, knowing it was banned, knowing the FBI had flagged it with a federal warning, knowing that at least 11 listeners had gouged their own eyes out before the 30-minute mark. I locked myself in a room, turned off the lights, and pressed play. Static, low humming. Then a woman's voice missed, or what was left of her. "She doesn't want to kill you. She wants to preserve you." I blinked. My reflection in the black monitor in front of me blinked slower. Then Mia began to describe the cave. Only it wasn't a cave anymore. It's a server room now. She's wired into every cable, every feed, every light beam reflecting off a polished surface. You gave her mirrors. You gave her millions of them. Inside the final BROADCASD, I kept listening. The voice changed. The background static began to twist into whispers. Layered upon whispers, I began to hear my own voice saying things I didn't say, repeating phrases like, "She's already inside me. There's no screen left to turn off. Please don't look behind you." And then I saw her, not in front of me, behind my reflection. Her face was cracked, porcelain, her hands were blistered black, and her eyes were just sockets, full of static. She raised a finger to her lips, and everything around me went silent. Breaking news. September 3, 2025 New trend sweeps YouTube and TikTok. Hashtag last reflection challenge kids. Dare each other to record in pitch black rooms with nothing but a bathroom mirror and a phone. Most videos show nothing, but a few show the camera falling to the ground, mid-recording, a voice whispering. There's no upload, only sacrifice. One girl's final clip ends with her phone catching her being pulled backward into the mirror, screaming. The footage uploaded itself. Black County Sheriff's Report, TENASE. The Bellwitch Cave has been sealed with concrete. Declared a national biohazard site. Still, people gather at midnight. They leave their phones on Livestream, pointed toward the woods. Some claim she's still broadcasting, not through WI-V, but through us. My final entry, September 6, 2025. I'm writing this by hand. I don't trust screens anymore. I haven't looked into a mirror in weeks, but today, I glanced at a puddle outside. Just a moment. Just a glance. And there she was, standing behind me. Mouth stitched, eyes empty, smiling. I blinked. She DIDN. Single quotes. She reached for me. And now every surface I see, every window, every phone, every darkened monitor, she's there, watching, waiting, wanting one thing, your reflection. Your reflection.